Hi everybody, my name's James. Welcome to this Plumber Parts video where we go through and have a look at a heating system that's been installed, that's been in here for years, and we're going to go through the quick glance over that for all seasoned plumbers, all trained plumbers who've been doing this for years, they will just do this naturally in their heads. But it might be interesting for you guys to see how we do it. So let's trace out this heating system. So number one, we've got our boiler, our lovely boiler. This is an oil boiler. We firstly go, where is the flow and return? That's the flow and that is the return. How do I know that? Firstly, we look on the pump here, this little velo pump, and that will have an arrow on it denoting which way the flow's going. I can't actually see it on this one, but I can tell you now that it's going that way. Also, installed properly is a TF1 filter that will filter out any magnetite and stuff on the return going back into the boiler. We see this pipe sticking out here, this little 15mm pipe. We follow that back up to here, round the back there, all the way around to here, and then we see that it is going up to, firstly, a filling loop, but also a high pressure relief valve, which will dump any pressure out of the system should it go too high into our waste and away through a tundish that we can see. We actually see what's going on there. So if this is dripping, we will know about it. And then we can fill the system up from here, because this system is then straight away, I'd be like, oh, this is a pressurized system because I've seen that pipe. I'd also then probably look for the expansion vessel. And the expansion vessel on this system is down there. It's quite a big one. Expansion vessels just account for the expansion of cold to hot water, because as cold water is heated, it expands. So we have a place to do that. That's why it's a pressurized system. So we can come up from here, and then we've got some sort of T going off this way. We've got a 2-port valve here. Now I know that that is the 2-port valve for the heating system. Now I can test that by turning the heating system on and off and actually feeling the valve open and move. But where does this pipe go? Well, it goes round here, and then it kind of goes round and then up and back. We've got automatic air vent right at the back there, but we've also got a pipe that comes around here to another 2-port valve that then will put hot water into our coil or our clarifier in our cylinder. So we're going to use the boiler to heat up the hot water. But as you guys know, the water from the boiler and the hot water that comes out of your taps is two separate bodies of water. They never mix. And if they did, there's something wrong, believe me, and you'd find out. We've also got a flow regulating valve there. What that does is it allows us to have a slight flow back to the boiler down to this return here at all times, regardless of whether these valves are open or not. Stops the boiler from short cycling. It's a good thing to do. So we're sort of getting to know this system now, aren't we? We've now sort of broken it down into with boiler here, our flows there, our pumps there. We've got 2 valves like that. We now know that it's therefore an S-plan system. Even though it doesn't look like an S, believe me, it is. So then if we look from the flow, we'll see that the flow off to the radiators goes up here, goes through a valve. We've then got a temperature sensor up there. We've also got a pressure sensor up there, a pipe stat, and then it goes off, up and away. The pipe coming back down is the return from the heating system. So actually, we've now got all of this in our heads, haven't we? We've got all of that in our heads. So let's have a look at some of the other components that we've got here inside this plant room, because we've got some bits down here behind us.
But before we do that, and while I've got your attention, it's the ITS Black Friday sale, the biggest ITS sale of the year. Hundreds of deals with all the top brands, everything you could need as a trade professional or DIYer. It's going for 4 weeks with new deals added every Friday morning during the sale. Plus there's Black Friday clearance, a separate section of end-of-line bargain deals on hand tools, accessories and more. They've got over 30,000 5-star Trustpilot reviews from real customers, and the best thing, they've got next day delivery when you order before 7 p.m. to site or at home, with a 1-hour delivery slot to stop you hanging around. If you haven't heard of ITS, now is the perfect time to give them a go. Links to ITS in the description and the top pinned comment below.
So firstly, we're going to follow this through. We've got our cold water main coming in. It's going through a meter. Then it's going through a pressure reducing valve. That's what that does. That reduces the pressure to stop there being any problems on the system. And then it runs off around here, up and round, and then down. Oh, look at that. It goes through a lovely water softener and then back through on those braided hoses. These valves here, there's a problem with the water softener. We can turn that off there and then open this bypass up, and everyone can then still use water. That goes back up through here, and now we've got what we'd say softened water. going through this pipe. Just to tee off here, we've got another pressure reducing valve. We've then got an expansion vessel on this braided hose here. So we're on the cold water side now, coming towards our hot water tank. We've got another high pressure relief valve that will go down to a drain, just down there like that. And we've got another one that links up to that as well from over there. And I think you'll probably see that as that high pressure relief valve just there. So what we're doing, we're reducing the pressure again, but also balancing the cold and hot feeds. So the pressures for those are exactly the same. And the reason we do that is because if you've got a mixer valve or something, you don't want those pressures to be different because you'd have too much cold or too much hot. You want them to both be the same so it can mix nice and accurately, and then you get a nice warm water coming out of that outlet. So now we've got cold feed going into the top of our chlorifier. That's going to go all the way down to the bottom inside there, and then get heated up by the coil from our boiler, and then that's going to go out off like so. Now you might have noticed as well that we've got two pipes going out up to the ceiling. That's because this system has what's called a secondary return. The reason we've got that is because over there where the kitchen is, that's so far away, if they open up the tap, they'd have to run it for bloody ages before any hot water goes through. So what we do, we actually just circulate a very, very low amount of water, a slow circulation of hot water out to each tap and back again. So when you open it up, hot water's there already, and you don't waste all those litres of water dragging the hot water through. It's there already. What else have we got? We've got another pipe here, just trying to figure out where that one goes. Oh, there's another pipe there, and that just goes off up to the cold water services. It's the balance feed to all the cold water services. If you want me to, I'd quite happily show you systems like this when I go to places so you can see how we trace them out, but that is really how we do it. You start with the boiler, you find the pump, you find the 2-port valves, then you know how the heating system works, and then also from that you can find out how the hot water system works. There is going to be another video from this beautiful place, my local village hall. Hey Bernie.
Yeah.
Exactly. And
Jimmy's a legend.
I wouldn't say that. I'll have to pay Bernie that tenner I promised I'd do for saying that. Thank you, Bernie. But I've actually been called here because this radiator here wasn't working and that radiator there wasn't working. And I'm going to do a video telling you how we found out what was wrong, how we got these working, and the remedial work that we'll have to do to this system to get them working so they don't fail in the future. Because there's a slight installation issue from when this whole system was installed by another group of contractors that means that it's inherently going to airlock every so often if the system is working in a certain type of way. So we're going to install something that stops that from happening. Other stuff we've got coming up on the channel actually, how to bend copper pipe offset, which I'm sure you'd like to know how to do, Diana. Also, we're going to be doing, cool, we've got loads of stuff coming up. A massively insane hex radiator that I've installed at my house. The most high-tech toilet ever is going to be on the channel soon. So if you haven't done, hit the subscribe button, hit the like, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. See you all soon. Ciao bella and hold tight. Mwah. Prego.